There's another interesting story that's out dealing with Ghislaine Maxwell losing a case. Epstein either, let's say, suicided himself or got suicided, whichever one of those things you believe. Well, Ghislaine is left behind, and they were going to make damn sure that Ghislaine get to trial. Now, the catch here with her, she was trying to prevent information from coming out from a previous lawsuit. Now, Judge Preska, I think is the name of the court judge, Loretta Preska, made a decision back in the summer to release hundreds of documents from a 2015 civil suit involving Maxwell and Virginia Roberts Giuffre, which is Epstein's accuser. Now, that case was settled in 2017, and the Miami Herald, the same one that's putting out this story, sued to get the documents from the case. Now, they were running a series called Perversion of Justice, which spotlighted how Epstein got away from punishment despite the fact that there were widespread accusations and allegations of pedophilia. And at this point, we know he was an international pedophile, an apex pervert on the grandest of scales. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell was fighting in court to prevent that information from coming out. Now, a 3-judge panel basically shut her down. Shut her down. As we have reviewed, just so you know what I'm talking about, a federal judge or a federal appeals court dealt Ghislaine Maxwell, the alleged madam, a disgraced financier, Jeffrey Epstein, twin blows late Monday by declining to consolidate her appeals in numerous overlapping cases and striking down her effort to thwart the release of controversial depositions she gave in the now settled civil lawsuit. Meaning, the deposition and the conversation that she gave in that civil lawsuit is what people are trying to get their hands on, and is what she's fighting to basically keep their hands off. I would imagine the trial in and of itself. But she's lost that case. That information is going to come out. It's only a matter of time. And clearly people want to get their hands on that information. A 3-judge court of appeals on the Second Circuit held more than 2 hours of oral arguments last week and issued a succinct Monday afternoon order holding that the lower court judge did not err in the release of the 418-page deposition from April 2016 that could shed new light on the Epstein empire. Again, she is in a lawsuit with Epstein accuser Virginia Roberts Giuffre. In that lawsuit, she gives testimony. People, the Miami Herald specifically, wants to get their hands on that testimony for their Epstein series to explain how Epstein got away without facing charges, because it's shocking that a man who was an international pedophile and was understood to be such gets away with that and walks. Maxwell said, no, I don't want you to get your hands on that. And a lawsuit was taking place where there was an appeal on that information coming out. Maxwell loses that appeal, and the judge shoots her down, which means the information will come out. I'm repeating because I just want to be clear. And this is the panel. We have reviewed all of the arguments raised by the defendant's appellant, Maxwell, on appeal and find them to be without merit, the judge wrote. Also turning away of requests for consolidation of Maxwell criminal case with the Southern District Court of New York. We deny the motion to consolidate this appeal with the pending appeal. The ruling affirmed a decision by the summer court. So in the earlier ruling, Preska, the judge that was there, argued in favor of the newspaper, the Herald, arguing that there was overwhelming presumption of the public's right to access Maxwell's deposition. Maxwell, who was arrested July 2nd, denied bail, argued that the deposition would jeopardize her ability to get a fair trial. Maxwell was charged with 4 counts of sexual trafficking with a minor for allegedly recruiting and grooming girls 3 girls. Maxwell sexually abused, allegedly partaking in the abuse of some of the girls, and 2 counts of perjury for statements she made in April 2016 deposition. She has appealed another judge's ruling that blocked her from sharing what she said was new material from the federal criminal case to be considered by Preska. Monday's ruling by the 3-judge panel concluded that Preska had not erred in her decision. The district court correctly held that the deposition materials are judicial documents which the presumption of the public access attaches, and did not abuse its discretion in rejecting Maxwell's meritless arguments that their interests superseded the presumption of access. Long story short, the public is going to get their hands on those documents. And Maxwell, whatever she said in those documents, will come to light and apparently will become relevant. Interesting stuff. This case, believe it or not, is still kind of hanging around in the back, in the back end. And I suspect it will start to take more prominence as it gets to the point of kind of going through the seams. But I think a lot of people want to know what is going on behind the scenes, and think that she would be a window to that. Now the catch becomes, does she talk? And if she does talk, was she telling you the truth? Is it the whole truth? Is it just a part of the truth? Is there corroborating evidence to make sure that what she's telling you is indeed some indicative of reality? All of these things come to question because all of these things were questions with Max under Epstein. And if these two were indeed close. One of the arguments that was extraordinary, if I remember correctly, that was being made was that basically the deal that Epstein made was a blanket deal. That Epstein's deal for him to spend that year in the work rehab part of prison where he was kind of in and out was a blanket deal to cover other people's sins. Meaning other people who are with me involved in this process, involved in this activity, they're covered by this deal that I got from Acosta. Well, yeah, the federal deal, the deal that he got. Well, for one, if you are trying to say that you want to be a part of that, you almost by definition implicate yourself. But by implicating yourself, is that your pathway to getting off? Is it that fascinating? Meaning, if Epstein deal went through, and he says, look, I'll do this 12 months, but people who are around me that may have engaged in this illegal activity and everything else, I want those people to be also covered by this. Meaning blanket coverage. I'm going to subsume all of your sins. I'm going to be a sin eater, as Gardner liked to say. And in being a sin eater, the other people who are involved walk. Well, if that is indeed the deal that he got, does she get off by saying she was part of the group that did X or Y? Meaning, if these girls are part and parcel to the girls that they were saying that she helped recruit, let's say that. If she's making an argument that, look, these girls fell under the discretion of that deal that Epstein got, which means that, yes, I am guilty, but in me asserting my guilt, I am absolving myself of blame based upon the deal that my friend, lover, partner, whatever else you want to add to it, got. I'm covered because I'm guilty. I don't know. I mean, all of this stuff is probably going to come up, but if I remember correctly, that was the direction that was thrown out there originally when she was first apprehended. I need to go back and look at my old video and that stuff. But it's a fascinating case. And everybody wants to ensure that she gets to trial alive. And people want to know what she knows. It's not in the forefront of media right now. But the moment that she hits trial consistently, or that trial gets to be more extensive, all eyes will be on that jailhouse. Like, share, and subscribe. And I heard I missed a super chat last time, so I don't want to do that. You guys may be seeing me a little bit later. I have a doctor's appointment that I need to get to that I'm already late for. But this case, I've been following this case, and so I didn't want to leave it. Port Film Co-op. Hilarious watching lefties defend corporate Google. Yeah, which I don't quite understand why they would defend corporate Google. A massive, powerful company that controls your reality in regards to what you see and process. And they basically are a monopoly. It's a problem. I mean, under capitalism, and they have this idea that the government is supposed to stand in between and be a referee and create competition when these companies, almost like a gravity, want to monopolize. Well, you have a situation where they created a dominant product. And in creating that dominant product, other companies accrued to that dominant product. Now you have a bunch of linked, huge corporations that basically lock out competition. Are they a monopoly? Depends on what you mean by monopoly. I mean, they're stopping other companies from getting involved in the process, but those companies just can't compete naturally because these guys have gotten so good at what they do in regards to service. I've said this before. The only issue with these companies is that they're private. I mean, if you had a situation where you as a citizen, any random person, can walk out, hit in an Uber button, a car pulls up, they get in, they go from point A to point B, there's a solar power on the roof so the car doesn't need to stop, and you get out, there's no charge. Or maybe there's a minimum charge, and you walk to wherever you need to walk to. That charge is robotic at that point, so you don't even need to have a person do labor. Well, Uber is going to be able to get to that point, but Uber is going to be able to suck all their money up to the top, as opposed to having a situation where collectively we, as let's say a public co-op, has a system that does exactly what that system does. And expand that to everything else. Power, meaning from the standpoint of an electric grid. And the issue with those systems is that they are held in the hands of a small body of human beings that wants to extract as much profit from those systems as possible. I would have no issue with any of those companies if those companies were public owned in a way, where the goal wasn't to extract as much profit as possible, but the goal was to deliver the resources and everything else. I know that's a wild dream because at that point you're talking about appropriating tons of companies, which I don't necessarily, all that much want to see happen. Okay, I'm wrong. I do kind of want to see that happen, but not under the guise to which we're using now. I'm just talking about public ownership of that stuff. But that's besides the point for the moment. And in the context of our reality, in the context of our, this capitalistic system, they are trying to rein them in. Yes, I suspect there's a part of spitefulness because they believe those guys work more for Democrats. But there's also this aspect of, reality. And if they're pulling in 90% of the search, that's a monopoly, almost to a literal degree. So I'll end this here. Yeah, this lefty won't be bending backwards to try to defend Google on this stuff. They're fair game. Right here, Jesus. Moral of the story: stop naming your children. Oh yeah, we did that one. All right, I'm going to say like, share, and subscribe. Thanks all.